Good evening and welcome to ATV News. I'm Charity Pepazani. Here are your top stories this Friday. Firstly, an update from the collapsed shopping center in Accra, Ghana. 48 hours after the incident happened, voices can still be heard beneath the rubble. So far, 78 people have been pulled out from the collapsed Malcolm Center, with 9 confirmed dead. Faulty construction has been blamed for the collapse of the building, which opened earlier this year. Nearby buildings with the same owner have been ordered to evacuate until they have undergone safety inspections. President John Dramani Mahama said those responsible for the negligence will pay a price. Anglican Archbishop Ikechi Makochi Nosi of Nigeria has asked Christians around the world to fast and pray for an end of persecution in his country. The northern part of Nigeria has suffered a rush of deadly attacks on churches. Last week, more than 7 people were killed and a great number injured when a suicide bomber attacked a Catholic church in Kaduna. Archbishop Nosi called for a day of prayer and fasting this Monday, the 12th of November. We will bring you more on this story as it develops. In Zimbabwe, a quick-thinking taxi driver narrowly escaped death in Marondera when a passenger tried to kill him by giving him rat poison. 24-year-old Petros Gweku of Shamva has been given a 6-year imprisonment sentence for attempted murder of taxi driver Philip Paredzin Chehere. Marondera Magistrate Court heard that November last year, Mr. Gokwe was a passenger in Mr. Chinhere's taxi when he offered the driver a drink. Mr. Chinhere was immediately suspicious and took the drink to Marondera CID, where they confirmed it contained deadly rat poison. When questioned, Mr. Gokwe admitted that he intended to kill Mr. Chinhere and steal his vehicle. In other news, a local clergyman in Nakonde, Zambia, has pleaded guilty to a charge of being in possession of pornographic material. He was fined 2 million kwacha in cash or 18 months imprisonment. The magistrate court heard that Pastor Charles Nsemu was found with DVDs that contained pornographic content likely to corrupt the morals of Zambian people. Pastor Nsemu showed the DVDs to the members of his church in his house. Drug enforcement arrested the pastor after tip-offs from the public. In gospel music, the UK Mobile Awards, also known as Music of Black Origin, were held in Liverpool last week. A number of great singers and rappers received nominations. One of the nominees for Best Gospel Singer of the Year was Elmer Franks. Elmer Franks did not win in the end, but he joins me now to talk about his experience at the awards. Let's look at a clip of his video, Jehovah.
All the power strong and mighty like you, my Jehovah. So good to know that my feet are planted on your solid rock. And that is why me and my friends, we're raising a banner so high. Our hearts shout for joy, all the earth let us worship. Him alone is God and the soon coming King. My hope is on Him and only Him alone. This one is in my heart, His praises are my
As I said, joining me now is Elmer Franks. So did you enjoy your experience at the Mobile Awards?
Yeah, it was an awesome experience because in the very first place it was so humbling for me, like being in that kind of environment, like even though at some point I was like, what am I doing here? But all the same, it was a good opportunity to meet some great people, like network and all that.
How much do your roots influence the music that you do?
Well, I'm from Nigeria, and I come from a state called Akwa Ibom, which means God's own state. And my music, well, I grew up listening to traditional gospel, like I remember my dad used to have tapes from American Mass Choir. I mean, the real original American Mass Choir, Brooklyn Church Choir, all those guys, and then through when I towards the early 90s, integrity music now came in, the likes of Ron Kenoly, Don Moen, um, I think Lionel Peterson, all those guys, Alvin Slaughter. I just used to listen to a whole lot of variety of gospel music, and then I think around 99 2000 when you had the likes of um, Kirk Franklin really emerged, and then had Mary Mary. I know you remember the track Shackles,
Yes.
which was everywhere, and like I think I've just had a mixed influence. I've tried to pick from all different stages of my life.
How hard is it to promote your gospel music in today's music industry?
Yeah, well, that's it everywhere around the world. Everywhere around the world, same story. It's only that some regions have stepped up their game. It's better in some places, like for example, America, because traditionally Americans go to church. Love the church. Like if you check out most of the best musicians you have around the world, especially the singers, all started from the church. That's to show you how Americans embrace the church, but and then in some places it's been a struggle. So promoting gospel music has been quite tough because generally, even Christians themselves, I would say the church is not doing too well when it comes to well, I say helping and promoting the gospel musician. That's why we've lost so many of them.
That was gospel artist Elmer Franks. In today's special feature, Liam is discussing an organization based in Zambia called PANOS.
Thanks, Charity. For those of you watching ATV News yesterday, you'll have seen my interview with Nigel Magamu. He's a blogger and commentator from Zimbabwe who set up his own social media-based internet forum that essentially wanted to provide communication lines for those who often haven't got a voice in Zimbabwe. So we're changing location today, but it's very similar themes. In Lusaka, Zambia, there's the Panos Institute of Southern Africa, and this is based across all the SADC nations across Southern Africa. So, in their own words, they're a regional, non-profit, non-government organisation, and much in a similar way to Nigel yesterday, they want to allow everyday people to help shape and influence the decisions that affect them most. So how are they going to do this? Well, they say they do this in 3 ways. They want to form new lines of communication, they want to work closely with the media, and they want to provide new platforms for debate. What are these platforms? Well, they're going to be on the radio, television, and most interestingly for us, the internet. To tell us a little bit more about this is Vuzumuzi Sifele from the Panos Institute in Southern Africa, joining us from Lusaka, Zambia. Thanks for joining us. So, could you tell us a little bit, in a nutshell, about what Panos do?
Okay, yeah. Panos Institute Southern Africa is a regional communication for development NGO. So the regional office is in Lusaka in Zambia, but we work in 12 Southern African countries. So in fact, basically we work in all SADC member states except the Democratic Republic of Congo and Tanzania. So our work, it involves the use of different communication methodologies just to promote development. Our focus is on ensuring that the poor and marginalized of our society also get platforms to express themselves, get platforms to understand development issues, and also to input into the debate about the development.
Okay, so you've talked about this aim, the objective to create a community that drives its own development, but how exactly do you go about doing this?
Yeah, we use various innovative approaches, like we work with the mainstream media, that is mainstream television, radio, and newspapers. We work a lot with community media, especially community radio stations, and also under community media, we also work with what we call radio listening clubs, where you bring together community members that are affected by a common problem. Then you give them a platform to express themselves, and then that information is channeled through radio. Then we also do like some kind of interpersonal engagements, like community meetings, policy dialogues, stakeholder roundtables, and things like that.
So you do operate in lots of different countries. Do your methodologies change based on each country and the different circumstances there?
Well, we use the same methodologies, but in each country, or not even in each country, but in each community, we adopt a specific approach, like which addresses that particular problem. Because something that works in Zambia may not necessarily work, say, in Mozambique or in Zimbabwe. So the method is determined on a case-by-case basis. But we have got like a whole list of methodologies that we just innovate around, so that we don't like reinvent the wheel in every like project or whatever situation that we'll be facing.
Yesterday on ATV we were talking a lot about social media. How big a part can that play in your operations?
Yes, we do use social media. We use Facebook, we use Twitter, we also share our stuff on Flickr. Right now we are in the process of launching, in fact we've already started implementing that activity, what we call a Pan-African Radio Platform project, where we are trying to create a web portal where different community radio stations are able to share their content, they are able to access each other's content, and also just to exchange content on common issues that are broadcast on the different radio stations.
Vuzumuzi Sefele, thank you very much for joining us on ATV News today.
And for this week's Premier League preview, it's back to Liam, who is joined as always by Michael Mambo.
Thank you, Charity. That's right, it's that time of week again where we look forward to another round of English Premier League action. As you can see, my colleague Mr. Mambo is no longer in his Hawaiian shirt and has returned to his very smart suit. We're going to start with his Arsenal side, who he's lost a bit of faith in recently. They were well beaten, of course, last week against Manchester United, which led to him having to wear that delightful shirt. They also surrendered a 2-goal lead in Europe in midweek, and they are desperate for a win. So, a home fixture against Fulham seems just the antidote. It's a London derby, and they'll be desperate to get 3 points on the board. Now, Michael, we all know you've lost a bit of faith in the Gunners recently. How do you see this one going?
Well, fortunately, history is on Arsenal's side this time round, because Fulham haven't won at the Emirates since the league started.
Oh, right, okay. So do you think that'll carry on in the same vein, a win for Arsenal?
I hope so. It should be a comfortable win for Arsenal.
Arsenal currently lying in 7th place. Fulham are just 1 place behind them in 8th, but they have drawn their last 2, and anyone who watched their last game against Everton will know it was basically daylight robbery. Everton should have cleaned up. Fulham came through at the end. But what about, I want to ask you about Dimitar Berbatov. He's been a great buy for Fulham, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He was wasted at United, but as you can see, the gem is starting to shine.
Okay, so should be a good game all in all. I'm going to go for a comfortable 2-0 victory for Arsenal. Michael, what do you think?
I'm going to go for 2-1.
2-1, so we're both going for an Arsenal win. Okay, the next game we're going to have a little look at is Aston Villa hosting the new league leaders, Manchester United. As we've discussed already, United strolled past Arsenal, and they looked a class above, to be honest. But that's partly to do with, if you don't mind me saying, how bad Arsenal were last week. But United starting to pick up some real form. In the week, they didn't play particularly well away at the Portuguese side, Braga. They were losing 1-0, but then, as they so often do, they came back and they actually ended up winning 3-1, which, to be honest, flattered them slightly. But one man was amongst the goals again, Robin van Persie. He just can't stop scoring, can he?
Well, he's a class act above all the other strikers. But United are going to have a bit of more of a hard game, as Aston Villa is playing really well.
Well, they did get a much-needed win away at Sunderland, and Paul Lambert, the manager there, is starting to get some performances out of his team, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Okay, but it's always been a tricky place to go away at Aston Villa. If this was at Old Trafford, I'd probably feel a bit differently about it. As things stand, I still think United will, now that they're hitting a bit of form, I think a 2-1 win to United. What about yourself?
2-1 sounds just about right.
2-1 sounds just about right, and we're both probably going to say Van Persie.
Van Persie, one of the scorers.
Okay, so therefore we will predict that Man United will keep their place at the top of the league. So, to Sunday, and as I say, every week in the Premier League it seems like there's big games all over the place. Here's a big one in itself. Manchester City, the champions, at home to Tottenham Hotspur, who are looking really good at the moment. City have, we say it every week, they've had a stuttering start to the campaign, but they are still the only unbeaten side in the league. We all know what happened in the week. They pulled back to 2-2 in the Champions League, but it still wasn't good enough. And to be honest, they should be beating a side like Ajax at home, and they look very unlikely to qualify for the next round of the Champions League. They also drew in their last Premiership game away at West Ham 0-0 with 3 strikers on the pitch. That really isn't good enough. Spurs, they won 3-1 in Europe against Maribor with a hat-trick from informed striker Jermaine Defoe. They currently sit in 6th place. So it's 6th against 3rd, Michael. How do you see it going?
It's going to be a tough one for Manchester City, and to be fair on most clubs in Europe, they're playing really fantastic football. Look at Ajax, look at the other 2 German teams.
Yeah, Dortmund came to City and completely outplayed them.
Yeah, so it's not like the City should have beaten Ajax automatically. Talking about the game on Sunday, I think Tottenham are going to win.
You think so?
Yeah, simply because Tottenham are more forceful going forward, and at the moment City haven't picked up that rhythm.
Although, to be fair, Spurs did lose in a rather shock result at home to Wigan last week. They'll be wanting to bounce back from that one, aren't they?
Yeah, Spurs tend to perform on big matches. That's why they went to United and won there, and they'll hope to go to City and do that again.
And a little word about Jermaine Defoe, because he's not always managed to hold down a first team spot at Spurs, but he seems to be really enjoying his football at the moment.
He is enjoying his football, and it's unfortunate that he was substituted the last time by AVB, and I hope to see him play the whole 90 minutes.
Do you think he could be amongst the goals in this game?
Definitely.
And speaking of goals, what's the scoreline prediction for this one?
Well, I see a 3-1 for Tottenham.
3-1 for Spurs. That's a very big claim from Mr. Mambo. I'm not going to be as brave as him. I'm going to say 1-1 with City continuing their indifferent form. The final game, and it's another big one. As I say, every week in the Premier League there's a big game, but there's 2 that land on Sunday, and it's the Champions League holders, Chelsea, facing Liverpool at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea, of course, in the league last week, surrendered their first place with a 1-1 draw at Swansea, and just starting to look a little bit worrying there. But in Europe, they won 3-2 at home to Shakhtar Donetsk. Again, having to battle hard and score through a Victor Moses goal right at the end of the game. Liverpool, well, we almost say this every week. Every time we think they're starting to get a few results together, they went and lost to the Russian side Anzhi in midweek. They could only manage a draw with Newcastle last weekend, and they currently sit in 12th. Things really aren't going well for them. Surely Chelsea are going to dominate this one.
Well, Chelsea are playing fantastic football, but you never know which Liverpool is going to come, and there's always the Suarez threat up front.
We talk about Liverpool most weeks on the show, and we know they've got a great history, and we do think that Brendan Rodgers is a good manager, but how long is he going to get? Because they're 12th position now. They're losing, they might not qualify in Europe. How long do you think he gets?
Well, Brendan Rodgers is a terrific manager, but being a terrific manager in this current climate does not guarantee you win silverware. It's the players you have at your disposal. If you only have one striker, who's Suarez, he's not even a striker, he's an offensive midfielder playing for you as a striker, then you're definitely in trouble.
Chelsea have no such problems, do they? They've got an absolute multitude of attacking options. Who's been your standout performer for them this season?
Well, I like Hazard, but the Spanish guy has also been up there as well.
Juan Mata.
Yeah.
He's been terrific. And because of those options, I'm going to have to go for a Chelsea 3-1 win. What about yourself?
I'm going to go for a draw.
A draw?
Yes.
Okay. So, we've differed on some, we've been the same on others. Join us on Monday and find out who's won in the prediction race. And unfortunately, nobody will be wearing a Hawaiian shirt this Monday. But tune in then.
Today's picture of the day is this great shot of Farai Katira, who looks like he's ready to party. Keep sending us your photos at our ATV Facebook page, and you could appear on the big screen. Thank you for watching ATV News this week and have a lovely weekend. See you on Monday.